In this lesson, we're going to learn how to apply the formula for the volume of cones. So remember that volume is simply all the amount of space inside a three-dimensional shape. We're going to focus on cones today. The volume of a cone is 1/3 the volume of cylinders. So it's a very easy formula to remember. It's simply the formula for volume of a cylinder, but we divide it by 3 because it's 1/3 of the volume of a cylinder. Or you could look at it as the volume of a cylinder is 3 times that of a cone. So let's recall the formula for volume of a cylinder. We have the area of the base, and the base of our cylinder is a circle. So we're going to calculate the area of our base, which is pi r squared, and then we're going to multiply it by the height. We're going to do the exact same thing for volume of a cone, but then we're going to divide that total of volume by 3. Now our height goes from the vertex all the way down to the center of the circle, and when we make this line, it does make a perpendicular line. So your height is from the vertex straight to the center of your circle. So let's get started. Let's find the volume in terms of 3.14, and then we'll find it in terms of pi. So our radius is 5, and our height is 8. So volume in terms of 3.14 is going to be 3.14 times 5 squared times 8 divided by 3. So we're simply just going to use our calculator. And when we use the calculator, we're going to use 3.14, and we're not going to use the pi button. That way we can all stay on the same page. And then times 25 times 8 divided by 3, and this gives us a volume of 209 1/3. So I'm just going to put 3 repeating, and this is feet cubed. Now when we do the volume, we're going to define it in terms of pi, and we're just going to use the symbol pi, and we are simply going to multiply 25 times 8 divided by 3, and that will be the coefficient of our pi. So pi, the symbol pi just kind of acts like a variable. So we have 66.6 repeating times pi. So this is the volume, and it is feet cubed because we're working with 3 dimensions. Okay, let's try one more. This time they give us the diameter, so our radius is going to be 4 because radius is half of the diameter. Our height is 10. So in terms of 3.14, so 3.14 times 16 times 10 divided by 3 gives us 167, and it's like 40.466. So we'll just round it to 5, and that is inches cubed. Now in terms of pi, the symbol, and we are going to multiply 16 times 10 divided by 3 gives us 53.3 repeating times pi inches cubed. This time we're going to find height. They're going to give us the volume in terms of pi, and then they're going to give us the volume in terms of 3.14. So we're going to plug in this for V, and our radius is 8. So we have 213 3/10 pi is equal to pi times our radius of 8 We do not know the height divided by 3. So we are solving for h. I'm going to go ahead and calculate and get pi times 64 times h divided by 3. So again, we're trying to isolate h. So we're going to first multiply by 3. 213.3 times 3 gives us 639.9 pi equals 64 pi times h. We're going to divide each side by 64 pi. Our pi's cancel there. And our height is going to be 9.998. And so we're just going to round that to 10. Now let's do it in terms of 3.14. So 669.87 is the volume. Plug that in for V. 3.14 for pi. Our radius is 8, and we do not know the height. So I'm going to multiply the 64, that's 8 squared, times 3.14 to get the coefficient. 296 hundredths times h divided by 3. We're isolating h, so we need to multiply both sides times 3. And we get 2,009 and 61 hundredths is equal to 296 hundredths times h. Divide each side by 296 hundredths. And we get 10. So anytime we're solving for h, our height, or r, it's going to be a whole number. So if you get a decimal, round it to the whole number. Let's try this one more time. So we are looking for the height again. So this is the volume in terms of pi. Our radius is 3. We're going to multiply. Whoops, got a little ahead of myself. Okay, so here is, I just calculated 3 squared. Now we're solving for h. So we need to undo the divide by 3. So we're going to multiply both sides times 3. That cancels those 3. You get 108 pi. Divide each side by 9 pi. And 108 divided by 9 is 12. The height of this cone is 12. Now we're going to do it in terms of 3.14. So V, volume, is 113 and 4 hundredths. That's equal to 3.14 times our radius of 3. Go ahead and do this calculation. I'm going to square 3, which is 9, and multiply that times 3.14. Again, I am not using the pi button on my calculator. Now we're solving for h. We need to undo the divide, so we're going to multiply both sides times 3. And we get 339 and 12 hundredths. Divide each side by our coefficient. and we get 12. Okay, now let's take a look. Okay, in this problem, we are given the height and want to find the radius. So we have the volume in terms of pi. So we have 324 pi is equal to pi times some radius squared times 12 divided by 3. So we're solving for r. So we first need to undo the divide by 3. So we're going to multiply both sides times 3. And 3 times 324 gives us 972. We're going, oh, and pi, don't forget the pi. And then we're going to divide by pi 12 or 12 pi, however you want to write that. It is commutative. So we have r squared is equal to 81. We're going to take the square root of both sides to undo the squaring. And our radius for this cone is 9. Now let's do it in terms of 3.14. The volume V is 1,017 and 36 hundredths. We set it equal to 3.14 times some radius squared times the height of 12 divided by 3. Again, we're solving for R. Let's multiply both sides times 3. And 1,017 and 36 hundredths times 3 gives us 3,043 and 8 hundredths is equal to, and we have, I'm going to go ahead and multiply these as well right here. 3.14 times 12 gives me 37 and 68 hundredths times r squared. Let's divide by the coefficient 37 and 68 hundredths. And on the left side, we get about 81. With our rounding, we have a little bit of error, but that's okay. We're going to round to 81. We have r squared. We are going to take the square root of both sides, and r is 9. Our radius is 9. Let's take a look at one more example. This time, our cone is 24 inches high. We don't know the radius, but we do know the volume. So for V, we're going to plug in 1,152 pi is equal to pi times some radius squared times 24 divided by 3. We're isolating R, so let's multiply each side times 3. And 1,152 times 3 is 3,456. Don't forget your pi. Now let's divide each side by 24 pi. (144). Undo the squaring by taking the square root, and our radius is 12. This time we have the volume in terms of 3.14. 3.14 times some radius squared times our height of 24 divided by 3. Now this time I'm going to go ahead, before I start solving, I'm going to go ahead and multiply 3.14 times 24. 75 and 36 hundredths. Now I'm going to solving for R. Multiply by 3. We get 10,851 and 84 hundredths. And we're going to divide that by our coefficient, 75 and 36 hundredths. And we get 144. We're going to take the square root of both sides. And our R is 12. Our radius is 12. I hope this helps.